Sofia Alvarez sat in the second row, center seat, where every mistake felt loud. She liked that spot, close enough to see the board, far enough to avoid the teacher's direct stare. Her notebooks were neat, her pencils sharp, her handwriting small and careful. And yet when she read aloud, a stutter sometimes tripped her tongue. No one laughed, but she felt the look's quick glances, tiny needles under the skin. "Remember, speech is on Friday," said Mr. Brandt, capping his marker. 2 minutes each. Practice, breathe, and be kind to yourselves." The bell rang. The class spilled into the hallway, a wave of voices and backpacks. Sofia lagged behind to gather her papers. That was when she noticed it. An eraser she had never seen before, resting on the corner of her desk. Not pink, not white storm, gray and smooth, almost polished. No brand, no smudges. It looked heavy for its size. She picked it up, cold at first, then strangely warm, like a stone from a sunlit path. For a heartbeat, faint letters shimmered across the surface, too fast to read. Then they were gone. The room was empty. The eraser felt like a secret. She slipped it into her pencil case and hurried out. That night, math homework glared back at her, fractions and exponents like tiny ants marching in confusing lines. She tried a problem, frowned, and gripped her pencil tighter. Wrong. She reached for the new eraser and rubbed. The mistake didn't smear, it vanished. No crumbs, no shine. The paper looked untouched, as if her pencil had never touched it. Strangest of all, she could not recall what she had written. The error was gone from the page and from her mind, like a pulled thread that left no hole. Sofia tested the eraser on a coffee ring on her desk. It disappeared. She tried a scuff on her sneaker. Gone. Her heart beat faster, not with fear, but with a sharp, shining thrill. For once she could make things right instantly. The next day, she brought the eraser to school. A crooked line in her notes, wiped away. A smudge on her poster, erased so clean the paper looked new. A misspelled word, gone before the ink dried. Each fix lifted a small weight off her chest. At lunch, Priya leaned across the table. "You look different," she said, squinting. "Did you change your hair?" Sofia pushed a curl behind her ear. "Just tried to be neat." "It suits you," Priya said, smiling. In English, Mr. Brandt said, "Speeches will be filmed on my phone, good practice." Sofia felt the floor tilt. Filmed, saved forever. That night, she stood in front of the mirror and practiced. The first sentence snagged on a long word. The second broke in two. She tried again, slower, then stared at her desk where the gray eraser rested like a little storm. It was ridiculous. You cannot erase a voice. And yet the thought pressed on her chest. She lifted the eraser, touched it gently to the hollow under her jaw, and waited. A light tingling bubbled there, like mineral water fizzing in her throat. "Hello," she said. The word flowed out smooth. "My name is Sofia," she continued, startled by how easy it sounded. She read the first paragraph without a stumble. She lowered the eraser, breathing hard. For the first time, she believed Friday might not be a disaster. On the morning of the speech, she erased a red bump on her chin and the frizz along her hairline. In the mirror, her skin looked calm. Her curls shone. She stared at her reflection and almost didn't recognize the girl looking back. Tidy, steady, ready. Her speech went well. She spoke clearly, paced herself, and even smiled at the end. "Excellent work, Sofia," Mr. Brandt said, tapping his phone to stop the recording. Hands clapped. Priya squeezed Sofia's shoulder. "You crushed it." Sofia walked back to her seat on light feet. The eraser sat in her pocket, quiet and heavy. Over the next week, she used it a lot on paper, on posters, on tiny imperfections that bugged her. She erased a wrinkle from the corner of a quiz, a smear on her locker door, a water droplet mark on the back of her phone case. Each small fix was like a secret victory. She also slipped it against her neck before reading aloud. No stutter, no tremble. Power felt like smooth glass, simple, cool, perfect. Then the changes began. They were small at first. Her 3 freckles on the bridge of her nose grew lighter, like pencil dots fading. Teachers sometimes forgot to hand her papers until she raised her hand. "Oh yes, yours," they said, like she had appeared out of thin air. In the hallway, people brushed past without noticing her. "Sorry," they said to others. To her, nothing. She laughed it off. The eraser probably had nothing to do with it. She was still here. She was fine. But in mirrors, her face began to look a little too smooth, her smile too even, like a picture edited once too many times. When she laughed, the corners of her eyes didn't crinkle the way they used to. Her text to Priya sometimes didn't send. She would type, hit send, and watch the bubble vanish. Not failed to deliver. Vanish. Weird, Priya said, showing her phone. No message from you. I wrote it, Sofia said, a thin laugh catching in her throat. Maybe my Wi-Fi glitched. Priya shrugged but kept staring, like trying to focus on a shape in fog. One evening, Sofia pulled out an old photo album. In one picture, 8-year-old Sofia held a wild-haired cat. In another, she grinned gap, toothed on a pier, freckles bright as stars. Those freckles had always been hers, permanent little constellations no eraser could touch, except it had. She looked at the eraser on her desk. It seemed darker now, heavier, like a stone that had soaked up rain. "You don't fix me," she whispered. "You delete me." She opened her sketchbook to a clean page, uncapped a blue pen, and wrote, "I stutter sometimes." She drew a tiny breath mark beside the words, like a singer's pause. On the next page, "I have 3 freckles on my nose." She inked them boldly. Then, "My hair frizzes in the rain." She sketched curls springing free. Then, "I laugh too hard at dumb jokes." She drew a wide-open mouth, uneven teeth, eyes squeezed shut. As she wrote, something warm spread through her chest. Not a flash, but a steady glow, the kind that lingers after good news. She filled more pages. "I panic sometimes. I try again. I'm learning. I'm enough." The room felt brighter, though the lamp had not changed. The next morning she studied her reflection. Her freckles were faint but back. Her smile looked like hers again, alive, a little imperfect, honest. She picked up the eraser one last time. The old temptation pressed at her fingers. One swipe and the worry would be gone, but the price had become too clear. She walked to the kitchen trash and let it fall. It made no sound as it landed, no thud, no clatter, just absence, like a shadow dropping off the wall. At school, the halls were the same busy tide, but she felt more solid with each step. In homeroom, the teacher set a paper on her desk and said, "Nice progress." The 2 words warmed her more than any perfect score had. In English, Mr. Brandt asked for volunteers to read a new poem aloud. Sofia lifted her hand. The first line flowed, the second snagged on a long word. She paused, breathed, and tried again. The sentence landed. A few classmates nodded, and Priya gave a tiny thumbs up under the desk. Pride filled Sofia's chest, not sharp, not shallow, deep. At lunch, Priya plopped down beside her. "Movie night Saturday?" "Only if we get the giant popcorn," Sofia said. "Deal," Priya grinned. "Butter level, illegal." They laughed. The sound was messy and real and drew a look from the next table. Sofia didn't shrink from it. That afternoon, a pop quiz hit the desks. Groans rose, pencils rolled. Someone whispered, "Really?" Sofia sat straight. The gray weight in her pocket was gone. She read the first question, thought, and wrote what she knew. On a tough problem, she scratched out her first try and started again. She didn't flinch at the mess. When she handed the paper in, Mr. Brent met her eyes. "Thank you," he said softly, like it mattered who she was and not just what she scored. After school, she passed the classroom where she had first found the eraser. Dust floated in the light like slow snow. She stepped inside and sat at the same desk, feeling the smooth place where the eraser had once rested. She took out her sketchbook and wrote in big letters across a fresh page, "Keep what's true." Underneath, she drew her freckles again, 3 small stars. In the window, a reflection looked back. A girl with ink on her fingers, hair that would frizz if the rain came, eyes bright with their own light. She lifted her hand and waved at herself without embarrassment. The glass did not blur, the image did not fade. She walked home in the kind of weather that can't decide, half sun, half cloud. When a sprinkle started, her curls lifted at the edges. She didn't smooth them down, she let them be. Passing a shop window, she caught a glimpse of herself and smiled because her reflection stayed. That night, she studied. When she stumbled, she wrote the problem again. When a sentence sounded weak, she rewrote it stronger. It was slower than erasing, but each line felt like a brick placed in a wall that would hold. Before bed, she taped a small note to her mirror. "Earn it. Keep it. Be you." The tape wrinkled at the corner. She didn't fix it. Friday came, and with it a new round of small tests. A cold class discussion, a fast locker change, a teacher calling on her out of turn. She answered when she could, asked for time when she needed it, and laughed when Priya made a bad pun. People saw her, not because she was flawless, but because she was there. On her way out of school, she passed a trash bin near the office. For a second, she thought she saw a gray shape at the bottom. But when she looked closer, there was nothing, only gum wrappers and a crumpled hall pass. She felt no pull in her chest, only a quiet certainty, like a door clicking shut. Outside, the sky opened to a clear blue, and the air smelled like the moment after rain. Sofia breathed in deeply. The world was loud and imperfect and full of life. She stepped into it without erasing a thing. Moral: trying to erase your flaws may erase who you are. True strength is accepting yourself and growing from your mistakes.